This is our town.
Welcome.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 213 of Valuetown. I'm ChanmanV, and today we are joined by Apxvoid and Cora. What's up, guys?
Yeah, what's up? Thanks for having me this week.
Yeah, man, first time on Valuetown. This is the mage expert in the community. We don't have too many like actual specialists. We definitely have one for priest, one for warrior, but to finally have the mage one on the show, man, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, excited to talk about all mage things. All Hearthstone things.
It's definitely a good time to talk about mage for sure. This expansion has been really, really good for mage. But Cora, how about you? What you been up to? I think the last time you were on the show maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago or so. Like, what's been happening this month?
It's been busy. I actually just finished up the Hearthstone Collegiate Championships.
Oh yeah, nice.
Everything except for the finals. So that was like 2.5 or 3 months of back and forth pretty much every week.
Oh man.
That was busy, but now I've got a couple weeks off. I'll be doing some work from home and then a little bit more travel near the middle of this month. So
who's in the finals? Like, I haven't followed it quite super close.
The finals: University of Oregon,
okay,
Georgia
nice.
Institute of Technology, Rochester Institute of Technology, and Minnesota Twin Cities.
Okay, it's a pretty good mix of schools there. Some big ones,
Yeah.
some tech schools, some smaller schools. That's good. That's great.
Yeah, we got a good mix between open division and varsity division teams. So it's actually been a really good season, and viewership has been up, which is really great.
Yeah, nice. What's the format for it right now? Is it specialist or is it something different?
It's Conquest. It's Conquest.
Okay.
Although probably for next season it'll go to specialist format. It just tends to mirror whatever HCT is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
I wish Vespa was a thing when I was in school.
I know,
fun.
right? Gosh,
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah, I mean, I think that, nowadays people are getting scholarships and full rides and, like for some of the different esports. So,
Yeah. There's big money in it. It's like almost $10,000 per person for first place.
Yeah, that's
Jeez.
awesome. Yeah, not being a pro. I mean, officially a pro or anything. So that's really awesome. Okay, well, anyways, today on today's episode, we've got obviously a full lineup of things to talk about. News in terms of the developers really sharing some stuff with some interviews this week with Ixar and Ben Thompson and various others. We've got some news actually with teams as well, and some players actually changing teams. Meta, of course. I think the big question this week was just, is Rogue too strong? It's been, I think a lot of people on Twitter have been going back and forth about that. So I figured we would talk about it. And of course, since we got, Apxvoid here, we're going to be talking about Mage, no question. Really do a little bit of a deep dive into that. We'll preview World Championships that start tonight. We talked a little bit about last week, but, after another week of thinking about, or actually seeing the decks now, everybody's decks, I think making some predictions will be a lot of fun. See who can be right here. Hopefully we'll do better than most of the casters, but Cora, you generally do okay, right, in those predictions?
I've been doing really well.
Okay, there you go.
I haven't had like official predictions for the last couple seasons, but when I was hosting the 2 championship events, I was in there. I picked Bloody Face, but nobody else did. And clearly,
nice.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, definitely one of the most underrated people this year, Bloody Face. He's had an awesome year. So yeah, we'll definitely do that, and I'm excited to see what just Apxvoid's read on some of these decks, especially the mage decks they brought. They pretty much brought the same mage deck for the most part. So,
Pretty much.
Yeah, the category one. And then lastly, Q&A, as always. If you've got any questions, go ahead and tweet those, or you can hang out in chat and ask them there, but you can tweet those as ValuetownGG, and we'll definitely read them out. But starting like we always do every week, just what kind of things you guys been doing on Hearthstone? I mean, obviously Apxvoid, you've been streaming some mage. I've been catching that. Any other kinds of decks, Cora, you've been playing? Some mage stuff?
Yeah, I actually hit Legend yesterday with Nomi Priest.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that too.
It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they definitely want to get a little bit better at that. Keep trying that out at Legend ranks.
Let me see if I can bring it up while we talk about it.
Surprisingly good, I think,
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Yeah. It's not terribly good against Summoner Mage, but holds its own against aggro. Kind of has a win condition versus Warrior, but requires them to not have Dr. Boom and next Crush.
Not having Dr. Boom, that's a lot to hope for there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a fun deck.
I love Grave Horror. I think it's just one of my favorite cards in the game.
Yeah, nice and cheap when you end up playing it. What do you guys think about Nomi? Because I mean, obviously when you're playing it, it's a lot of fun. And it can be like a miracle win, which is obviously a lot of fun when you're playing it. But for me, I've had mixed feelings about it because it's just one of those cards where you just play it. There's no skill involved to it. You just kind of play it, and I mean, and you might have a chance to win having 7/6/6s on the board. Do you guys like that card?
Well, I think the skill involved is drawing your whole deck without dying.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It's harder, like with Priest especially, you gotta do the cleric turns and all that.
Yeah.
But I like Nomi. I mean, I've found a spot in a mage deck, and he's pretty fun. I like the card.
Okay, cool. Cora, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Nomi's fine. I think the deck building limitations that you have to sort of take on when you're playing a Nomi deck means that it isn't oppressive, even though, it's just, get to the end of your deck, 7 mana, you have an entire board. That's not particularly, exciting. It's not particularly fun to just play that card. But, I think the fact that with Nomi Priest, you need to cycle through your deck as quickly as you do. Otherwise, that card can be answered so easily. It makes it fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about Nomi too is like if it ever did get popular, it's not that hard to counter it with. Well, at least with some classes. Some classes it would be hard to even do anything about, right? But like Warrior, you just run a brawl and just hold it forever, and you're probably good. So
actually,
at least,
Fibonacci teched spell damage in so that you can Warpath the Nomi with like Spellzerker or Mana Reservoir.
Oh wow!
That's funny.
Okay. Yeah, leave it to Fib to figure out that too. Yep, that makes sense. But yeah, that's a fun deck. I've been playing some of that too. I play a little bit of the Paladin as well. That a lot of people have been running recently. So those are the first 2 times I've played. I've just spent so much time on Shaman this expansion that this week I kind of wanted to try out some of the decks that have been going around that weren't Rogue and Warrior or Token Druid. So those were the 2 most obvious ones. Apxvoid, have you played anything? We're gonna say the Mage talk, but have you played anything that's not Mage?
A little bit. Most of my on-stream stuff is all been Mage, but I've been messing around with decks off-stream. Mostly just the decks that are popular and look fun to me. So like, I've tried Nomi, Priest, Rogue, Warrior, all the good decks, basically.
Okay. Anything stand out?
Rogue's definitely the best deck I've played, hands down. Yeah. Not too controversial there, but I do like Nomi Priest actually. That's one of the more fun decks I played. Haven't played much Shaman though yet.
Yeah, Shaman's definitely a fun one too, but
Big Bad Shaman is really fun.
Which one?
I want to try that one.
Which one?
Big Bad Shaman. Board Control's been playing it quite a bit for the last few days, like the top 10 legend.
Big Bad Shaman? Which one is that?
Big Bad Archmage, Walking Fountain, Eureka.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, I haven't tried that. That sounds cool.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just me and APX were talking before the show. I was just telling him that there's certain classes that just have a lot of utility, and I think it's like what he's done with Mage and really dive into it and find these interesting Mage decks that are good against even in the meta. I think the same thing can be said probably of Shaman. Like there's just so much utility there. There's just got to be something that's viable in terms of that. And we're definitely seeing Shaman play. I mean, Shaman's brought to the Worlds, a lot. I think a number of people have brought Control Shaman at least to Worlds, and I mean, I think it's a really cool class right now to be in, or at least to be playing right now.
Yeah, it is a cool class. The scheme is actually really strong in the Shaman.
Yeah, I liked what I mean, the fountain's super good too. Like the ability to remove and heal at once. So it fits really, really well in the meta too. But cool. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about news, given that some of the devs were in interviews like over there or just over in Taiwan, and they did some interviews even here. So a couple real quick things, small things that were announced is that somebody asked, I think on one of the forums, whether epics will ever get the same treatment that legends get, in terms of duplicates. Right now, if you guys aren't aware, if you're when you're opening packs and you get a legend, you're not going to get a legend that you already have, which is super awesome and super good because it's obviously much more efficient for all of us. Because there was nothing worse than getting a duplicate of a legend, because it's just so rare to get a legend, and then when you get it, it's like, oh, that's a quarter of the dust. It sucks, or at least half of the dust. So kind of a bummer, I guess. I mean, like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think they should do that for us, or do you think that's just us being a little too greedy?
Personally, I don't really mind. Like, I play a ton, so epics aren't a huge problem to get. Legendaries, I think is definitely necessary to not get duplicates, but I think epics is fine. Like, don't need duplicate epics. Or the no duplicate rule, I mean.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The legendary is specific to legendaries, and that's consistent across the board. With Blizzard games, I know in Overwatch you can only get a legendary skin one time. They're not going to give you duplicates of the same legendary skin because the return rate is so bad. But you can get duplicate epics, so it doesn't feel bad for me. But again, we're whales in the grand scheme of things.
That's right.
Who really don't want to get their fourth same epic when they could get something different.
Yeah, there are some good epics though, I have to say. I think even the last year, I think a lot of good cards, or just some of the most powerful cards, were epics. So maybe that's where it's coming from. But not, obviously not going to get it for at least now. So I guess we're gonna have to keep waiting on that. Another thing that came up too was that somebody asked about the whole tri-class cards. The cards that we had for
Mean Streets.
Mean Streets, yeah. Mean Streets. And I think that Chad replied with the fact that we have this kind of faction of good and evil, that we might see some more of that as well. We see it right now with at least the mechanics, with Twin Spell and the Twin Spell. What's the evil they have? Oh, what's the mechanics?
Scheme or
a scheme? Is it the schemes? Oh yeah, the schemes. Schemes for the evil, and then we have the Twin Spells for the good guys. We may see some cards that are, like similar to what we saw in Mean Streets, which I don't know. I didn't really have too much of an opinion on those. Like, I didn't really love them. I didn't really hate them either. So
I loved tri-class cards.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they were some of my favorite cards to play with. Well, mostly because they were so much fun to play in Arena. And we do have them back in Arena right now. Mean Streets is in the rotation.
Nice.
But like Lotus Agents, Cabal Courier, just really, really good, solid cards.
Yeah, I like tri-class as well. There's some really good ones. Kazakis, I remember. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, back in Mean Streets, we didn't really have a lot of discover cards. That's just like discover any kind of card, and so it was really cool to be able to get some of these cross-class cards, but nowadays I just feel like it feels much more commonplace to have that happen. So for me, it's cool. I think it's nice, to have that variety, but it's not quite as special as it used to be for me. But
I think it's one that they could bring back, and people would just be like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad.
It's not a controversial.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Let's bring up this interview. Actually, this is like a Reddit thread that kind of sums up the interview, but. I guess it's a Chinese interview with Ben Thompson and Dean Ayala Ixar, and they talk about some really good things here. So that's why I kind of wanted to bring it up. The first thing they brought up was not the card. I mean, I know a lot of people do care about card art, but I think a lot of people don't as well. But they talked about I think the biggest thing that I saw that Ixar talked about, at least I think it was in this interview, was just talking about warrior, right? And I think a lot of people were bringing up, And this is before the rogue talk, like the heavy road narrative that we started to see just around Twitter. And it was the rogue narrative was in response to, I think, like basically people talking about warrior. So what Ixar said was just that they're keeping an eye on it, but they don't think it's actually bad right now. They don't think that the win rates look too bad for warrior, and so they're still just keeping an eye on it. So I don't know. What do you guys think about warrior right now? Do you think warrior's a problem right now, just given where we are currently in expansion?
The issue I have with Warrior is it just outclasses other control decks so hard. I feel like I can't play control versus Warrior and beat Dr. Boom. Like I don't have Jaina, like Frostlich Jaina anymore, something like that. So I can't keep up a lot of the time. So you really need to run things specifically to tech against Warrior if you want to have a good win rate, I find, or your deck just needs to be very good against them. But I can see why it doesn't have a really high percent on HS replay.
I think the problem I have with Warrior is the lack of combo decks right now. Near the end of the last expansion with Warrior, we had Shadowwalk Shaman, which absolutely destroyed it. We had OTK Paladin, which absolutely destroyed it. We had Resurrect Priest, which was so good against it. And now all of those decks are gone, but Warrior lost the upgraded hero power, but it's gotten so much in return. And obviously, Dr. Boom is just better now in the grand scheme of things, that all of the other cards are worse. So that's my real issue with it. I like Warrior. I really enjoy playing Control Warrior right now, but I think that's because in comparison to a lot of other things, it just feels better.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with what most players are saying, that Boom is just a bit too strong and should be toned down a little bit so that other decks can have a fair chance.
I feel like Boom right now is like a big topic of, because everything else about Control Warrior I think is fine. I think a lot of the attributes are just something that you would see, and they've got a lot of individual cards that do good removal as well, and have tempo at the same time. But man, when you add that on top of the fact they have rush, oh man, I mean that's when it just gets nuts for me. Yeah. So maybe if they just, what do you think? Would Boom be any good if they removed the rush for mechs?
I think it would still definitely be playable, right?
It would still be very good.
Yeah.
The upgraded hero power is just, it's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe make it more expensive. Maybe make it so only the first mech you play every turn has rush. There has to be something that they can do to it. Because we like Dr. Boom. I don't think people want Dr. Boom gone. Dr. Boom's a super sick card. But it's just, every mech having rush means that the deck has so much more removal than any control deck should.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of their cards is basically a removal card. Whenever that happens, right? Like, every one of their minions are removal, and every one of their spells are almost removal. So it's it's
just discover more. With the hero powers, it's really strong.
Yeah. So I think that it would be enough if they just removed the rush. Actually, like the hero power is strong, but it's not as strong when you can't make plays off the discover on that first turn. So I'd actually love to see Warrior with that. But on top of that, Warriors also play Elysiana, which is one of the things that they also address too, because a lot of folks, including myself, have been really saying that Elysiana is a huge problem. Like I think that she really puts things like tournaments, and whether they're entertaining or not, in jeopardy, and things like that, especially when you're starting to finally see decks that run Banker and they run Brewmaster. So before it was just not, like, in theory, people doing that. Now we're actually seeing people do it. And so it's getting a little bit crazy. So, one thing that they said is that they are keeping a close eye on Elysiana. No mention of, changes for sure, but it is something that they're already thinking about potentially doing. But the one thing that they also mentioned is that esports does, the whole esports environment does matter to them in terms of design as well. So, this is something, I don't know. I feel like it should be to the point already that they should be changing this card, or at least banning it or something from the esports scene. But it doesn't seem like they're doing it. So, Cora, what do you think about this? Like,
it's complicated, right? Because
yeah,
we're going to be ushering in a new era of competitive Hearthstone with the specialist format, and just from, I don't have personal experience with the Open Cup system. I haven't played in it, but I have friends who have been grinding Open Cups nearly nonstop. And you have some games between, Rogue mirrors that the entire round is going to take 20 minutes. And then you have warrior mirrors that are going to go to time. And if a control warrior mirror is played correctly, it should go to turn timer.
Right.
And that's an issue because 45 turns can take over an hour in a lot of cases, and that's going to extend round timers by too much. So it's an issue for the Open Cup system because it's a waste of everybody's time, and it's an issue for, say, like Grandmasters, for instance, because do people really want to watch a game where the first 25 turns don't matter? Not really.
Agreed. And I think that having the result be a turn timer result too is a pretty terrible thing to have to wait for as well at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Apxvoid, your thoughts on Luciana?
Well, I've seen some data like showing the average length of an Open Cup like before and after Eyes of Shadows, and it was definitely longer after because the Elysiana mirrors.
Okay.
There is evidence supporting that.
And that's a shorter series. Let's just be clear, right? Like, we're no, actually no, it's not short. They were doing specialists before. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
But I just think Elysiana is just like it's unnecessary as a card. Like I don't think the game needs a card like this, or they can at least cut down the amount of discovers, like we were talking about earlier, off of the show. But yeah, I think something should be done. Also, another issue is that the specialist cups I don't think need to be Swiss. Like a lot of people have been suggesting just single them, which I think is fine.
How many rounds do they do? Like 8?
Yeah, and it's 8 rounds as well, which is
That's a lot.
Yeah, 8 rounds. That would be what, equivalent to 256? Probably. Probably, right? Like 256. I mean, that's assuming. I mean, everybody plays 8 rounds versus just half every time if you did brackets. Like if it was a bracket thing, would it be double limb or single limb? You think it'd have to be single limb, right?
I think it'd have to be single, but I'm pretty sure double limb would still work as well. Anyway.
I think people will be okay with single limb, to be honest. Like, given how long some of these have been.
Honestly, I think people would like single more than double.
Yeah.
At least with single, if they lose, they can just go with double.
Yeah, exactly.
Run back is so difficult.
Oh my God, 8 rounds. Holy smokes, that's a lot of time. It's definitely pretty rough. So yeah, hopefully this happens soon, because, with GM coming up and just obviously the Open Cups being, I think, a bit more... just a bit more seen, by the public, where HCT is not an alternative, narrative in the esports scene. It'd be good just to kick it off right, like have a lot of people see it for the first time and it just be, something as good as it can be. And I think that if we do keep doing this, the first thing they're going to see are these long mirrors, and it's going to be not good, for sure, not good.
Exciting to see what happens at Worlds with the Warrior mirrors. Well, I don't know if exciting's the right word.
I'm going to be asleep already.
Maybe the Warriors will be banned.
Overnight entirely.
If the Warriors are... Warrior could be banned, right? A lot in Worlds if people want rogues to run through or something, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah. I think ban Warrior is going to be a pretty common strategy.
Yeah, so, I know Blizzard's probably crossing their fingers, too. That doesn't happen.
They're like, ban Warrior and don't let Roger win.
Yep, exactly. Anything else in the interview you guys noticed that was pretty interesting that we might want to bring up here? They talked about game length, but nothing too specific. I feel like they didn't really answer anything too specifically outside of that. But they did talk about lackeys. They're probably going to add more lackeys, just not to Rogue.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm okay with lackeys. I looked at the win rates. They're pretty even across most of them.
Yeah.
There's not much of a disparity,
I think Witchy Lackey was the lowest win rate.
Which one?
The Witchy Lackey.
Oh, okay.
Evolve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, they were all pretty even.
Yeah, I liked them. To be honest, like I think the lackeys have been better than I expected them to be. Just even power level and just kind of fun and just how they work with the decks. So would love to see more. That'd be great. Okay, well, let's see. Next bit of news, we've got some news in terms of teams, or at least some two big players actually at Worlds. Pretty crazy timing, to be honest, but we did see that Just Saying and Muzzy, who were previously on Tempo Storm, they ended up switching teams to Radiance, which is a pretty new team. It's a team owned by High, if you guys are familiar with the League of Legends scene. A pretty well-known player and now a team owner and analyst. But they're going to be representing them, and I'm assuming they're going to be representing them also at Worlds, wearing Radiance gear and everything. But with Tempest Storm letting them go, I think a lot of questions come up about whether, like kind of what happened. Like, is Tempest Storm really still interested in esport? And Muzak, I think, is still on the team, so they still have a player at the very least. But some of those questions were answered, though, because Tom Mathisen, who's been on the show before, ended up doing a real quick, short interview with Reynad, and I think Reynad explained basically what happened there, which was I think that the delay of the World Championships to April versus January put them in a position where the contracts for these two guys expired. So. When they were originally hoping to be able that these two guys would make it to Worlds and they'd be able to represent Tempest Storm, but because of the timing of all this, I think they got screwed. So they would have to renegotiate this contract, and it turns out they couldn't come to terms. And I think Reynad even went as far as to say that he just doesn't think it's worth it anymore. In terms of Hearthstone esports. So thoughts on these two big names in Hearthstone esports ending up changing teams. And Just Saying's been on Tempo Storm for a long time now. He's been kind of like their coach too for a while as well. So and any thoughts, Cora?
I'm sad about it. It feels like the end of an era, sort of. Tempo Storm was my favorite team in Hearthstone, just because it was homegrown, started with Hearthstone, and not a lot of other teams these days are. So the fact that two of the best players in the world aren't going to be repping the brand that they've been repping for years now at Worlds, that kind of sucks. But I mean, I get why Reynad did it. He's got his hands in a lot of different projects. It has to be very expensive to be doing everything that he's doing and developing the Bazaar as well. So if you have to renegotiate an entire year of contracts and you don't feel like it's worth it, then it's really bad timing. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, the viewership for esports, Hearthstone esports, isn't super high. You know what I mean? So this last year, these guys traveled everywhere. So those the cost of having to support these guys, I'm sure, was not very cheap. But Apxvoid, I mean, thoughts on this? Is this telling of teams and HS esports at all?
I was pretty surprised to see the news as well. I don't know if it's too telling of teams. I mean, I'm pretty curious to see how Radiance does as a team and sort of what impact I guess they make in the Hearthstone scene. But it is also still cool to see like new teams enter, like Radiance.
Yeah, we saw T1 recently too, right? Pick up Fino and Boar and Orange as well. So that's
so it's not like everyone's just dropping out or anything. It's still coming in. Yeah,
but Tempo Storm's, it's the last of the, I would say, organic teams that started when Hearthstone started. Like, we lost Archon a long time ago, and then obviously Tempo Storm now. So they're still going to be sponsoring, or at least they're still going to be signing streamers and things like that, is what Reynad said. But it just sounds like the competitive side of it, they're probably just going to be at least waiting and seeing. We'll see if Amnesiac too. Like, I don't know if they continue with him or if they're just kind of waiting for his contract to.
He's the Red Bull athlete, right?
Oh, is he? Yeah. Oh, he's Red Bull, right?
Then that's probably a reason to keep him on.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they ended up picking up players in the future, depending on how well Grandmasters League goes. If the viewership ends up being very good and if it ends up being profitable, then maybe.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the format goes well, the Grandmaster definitely will generate more views for sure than what we've seen in 2018 in terms of HCT, like just overall, like week to week type of thing. We'll see more views. So hopefully that does work out for sure. And hopefully these two guys, I'm definitely hope they do well as well in Worlds, of course. But let's talk about some Hearthstone. Let's talk about some meta now. So we talked about Warrior a little bit. You know, I think the new topic, at least the latter part of this week, or at least the second half of since the last episode, has been all about just, why are you guys talking about Warrior? It's like, Rogue's the problem, guys. You know, Rogue is the one that's you know, causing Warrior to even be good, because if that's the only counter to Rogue. And so I think a lot of the shift has been, you know, does Rogue need the change, and is Rogue too strong now? And Apxvoid, what would you say to that?
I mean, I think Rogue is the #1 class. I'm not sure why, or if people think Warrior is better than Rogue, but I know most pros I talked to actually asked my chat yesterday, and a lot of people agree that Rogue is the best. But I think most people probably agree that Rogue is very strong. Whether it's too strong is kind of hard to say, but I think it could use like some slight adjustments to make it a bit weaker, just around like prep rating, party, stuff like that. It's just really powerful. And there's just no like weaknesses in Rogue right now, I don't think.
Yeah, I know that Kibler had a Twitter thread yesterday about Worlds and the fact that Rogue has been in every Worlds winning lineup. But specifically, he said 2 cards, Backstab and Edwin Van Cleef, in every World Championship lineup unless Roger wins. So the consistent power level of those cards over the years, and the fact that the Rogue class is so good right now that you're having to consider taking out cards like Myra's Unstable Element and Henge Clan Thug, which are incredible cards, but there's just too many good options, whereas other classes, I feel like, don't have, I guess, just that ability right now to choose between two great things. They're kind of having to make concessions somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that card for card, Tempo Rogue's, you know, just the 30 cards are incredibly high. I think just in terms of the value and power level of all of them. You know, Rogues seem to always make, or seem to have the most number of like plays that have almost the equivalence of 2 plays. You know, like they're playing double, something double, or they're able to like to burst at the end, or they're able to draw a ton of cards, or, you know, like it's crazy. Like they literally get to do everything at least multiple times a game, and it's led to crazy consistency. And if you look on Asia's replay right now, just at least from rank 5 to legend, I mean, the only bad matchup is just against Warrior, like whatever Warrior, control Warrior-ish. It's like the only bad one, and everything else is not just like slightly green, it's super green. You know, it's like
plus,
60 plus.
Yeah, and that's
crazy.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why, you know, the Warrior talk was even there in the first place, is because Warrior's the only thing keeping it in check right now. So that's, I don't know, that's generally not a good thing. And I think Apxvoid, you mentioned even some of the matchups that just shouldn't be the case, right? Like,
yeah, like Rogue should have weaknesses, I think, to deck like Zoo and Token, but it just doesn't. And then like there's no other control decks that are good against it other than Warrior. So yeah, it just doesn't have many weaknesses, and that's why we see so many on ladder, at least Legend ladder.
At the very least, in a Conquest format, you can say, okay, I'm going to ban Rogue, and then in that case, I don't really need to bring Warrior. I can maybe try for a more aggressive strategy. But in Specialist, obviously, you can't do that.
yeah.
So
like it's really hard to make a Specialist deck right now that beats both Rogue and Warrior that isn't Rogue or Warrior.
Right.
I think that's kind of a problem.
Shaman can beat the Rogue, but you really struggle against Warrior.
Right. You can, as long as they don't draw Boo. Like,
Hunter can beat the Warrior, but you can't beat the Rogue.
yeah. So there's a lot of that type of
It sort of
dynamic.
forces you to kind of play one of those decks, or else you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
sort of one of the inherent issues with Specialist, I think. Like, balance needs to be really, really on point for that not to happen.
Yeah, there's definitely very little margin of error in terms of having the meta be a certain way. And yeah, so it's very heavy. Like if you were to imagine, you know, just the general Hearthstone polarity, you know, like in terms of polarization, right now 2 sides are like super heavy right now. And I think when that happens, everybody just plays it. Like they don't, you know, there's not a very good balance, and then that's going to lead to a bunch of mirror matchups right now. So yeah, I mean, looking at the cards, I'm just like pulling one up. I don't know why it doesn't think I have pick, because I actually do have pick, but yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 different types of rogues I run into. You know, one that's a little bit more like face oriented, just hit face with every single turn. and then one that's more like this, where there's a little bit of
Fox.
board control, but
Yep. They're actually, you can see both in Worlds, I think. I think like Hunter Ace has this one, and like Language Hacker and them have the more aggro one.
Which do you think's better?
I think the Myers list is still really good. Like basically you cut the Vendetta and things and run Myra.
Right.
Cut the Blink Fox. But that one's good too, though.
Yeah, here's the other one. The other one's literally right next to it. So
yeah, like you can't really go wrong with this one as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
very strong.
I think I like this one better. It's a little bit more all in. You don't have, the potential high rolls from other class cards that you would get from like Blink Fox.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is very straightforward.
Yeah, so the weapon damage is just crazy in these decks. Like you don't even realize how much damage you're taking from that waggle pick, until you're dead.
Yeah. Another issue I think that a lot of people aren't talking about is just how good like raiding party curves into waggle pick Corsair. Like it's almost too good. No classes have plays like that really right now.
Yeah, the Corsair is like the example of that, like basically playing twice. You get a chance to almost have equivalents of 2 turns because of that card, because it's free. There's a lot of free cards in Rogue. I think that's generally been the issue historically. Backstab 0, prep still 0, and it discounts something.
Now they've got
0.
Value, just a combination now with Myra's and rating. It's just a bit too strong.
Okay, so I know Zalay tweeted something where it's like, even if you nerfed 3 like key rogue cards right now, it would still be the best class.
I agree with that.
Okay, so all right, let's talk about what we would nerf then. Like, how would you even nerf rogue then? If you can't even nerf just 3 cards, you have to nerf more than 3 cards.
Like, looking at this list, I can cut basically everything except maybe prep and raiding party, and it would still be good. I mean, like any one card from this list. Like you can cut pick, run the other 3 mana weapons, and like you can cut stuff and run the Blink Fox Vendetta list as well if they don't nerf that. But
that's pretty strong then. So,
like, they can nerf Thug and it would still be good, and it's just so many strong cards in this deck.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think that. I mean,
Evil Miscreant can get a lower stat line. I don't think it needs to have 5 health.
Okay.
I don't know what you do about preparation at this point other than rotate it.
It's something to do with prep and raiding party, I think.
Yeah, raiding party's crazy good, like incredibly good, especially at 3. Maybe it should be a 4 or something like that.
Maybe.
But
4 would not be the worst.
I think the pick's a problem too. I mean, I think the shadow step gives it a. I mean, you basically get an extra 2 shadow steps, which, most of the time is not good. But at least the last pick that you get is going to be used to finish, for the most part. So, and then like the threat of that, and then it's like, okay, I'm like, I've gotten to the point where I can control them a little bit, and then they play Captain Greenskin, and they get another hit on your face or something like that, and it's like, oh man, I have to have the ooze like every single time I play a rogue, which is crazy. But yeah. So anyways, rogue. I don't know how they're gonna tackle it without just having a crazy overhaul, and they've never done that before. Maybe the closest thing was maybe Q Block. I don't where they changed multiple class cards, a great deal. But I don't see them changing 4 cards of a class. That would be wow. That'd be super impressive if they did that. But yeah, this seems to be a problem. I think if even they brought it down, it's still the best class. I still think that would give, some of the lower percentage. I mean, it would up the percentages even of the ones that are bad matchups a bit more, and make it, a little more palatable in terms of the meta. So hopefully they'll start somewhere. Okay, I think the next thing to talk about is Mage. Given that we have our Mage expert here. And Mage seems to be a super cool class this expansion. So yeah, I want to tell us about some of the mages that you've been playing. I kind of have 2 of them up here.
So these are kind of my go-to ones right now. So the left one is something you're probably more familiar with. It's my most recent build of Giant Conjure. It's more for ladder, probably not the best in Specialist. But I've really been liking Acolyte, just more cycle. I guess the interesting things to note about this is no Khadgar and no power and no Kaligos.
How?
I'm asked like 500 times a day on stream why
I
no
know.
Khadgar, so I
I
guess
know.
I'll answer it on here. I don't run Khadgar because if you look at the deck, there's like 2 synergy cards with it, and it's just Conch Calling and Astromancer, but Astromancer is hardly a synergy. You get that one every Khadgar Astro. But Conch Calling, like most of the time, you'd rather just double Conch Calling than Khadgar Conch, or you just don't have the mana to play a Khadgar, so I just didn't think it made the cut. It sits in my hand too much.
Interesting.
Have you guys played much Mage this expansion?
I have not. I've watched a fair amount of it, and there were quite a few in the TESPA championship bracket this past weekend. It did okay. The issue was there was also a lot of Token Druid in that bracket, which is not representative of ladder right now. So I imagine this does a lot better on ladder.
I'd destroy Token Druid with this, but maybe they don't have the techs.
They were running like 1 MCT. They had the 2 Dragon Maws, but it was generally heavier lists than this. It wasn't quite as streamlined.
The Sun Fairy Protectors probably help a ton too. Like in this,
Rabble Bouncer is amazing too. Just a combination of Rabble Bouncer, like Sun Fury on a big health taunt, and then they just can't deal with the giant. Like if you play turn 4 giant, they have to deal with it, or you're gonna make 7-8 taunts a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's Rabble Bouncer I think is one of those cards. And for those of you wondering what Rabble Bouncer is, it's a 7-mana 2/7 taunt that costs 1 less for each enemy minion. So I mean, I thought this card was trash like the first time I saw it, but then I've been starting to see it a little bit more because I feel like taunt is just generally better, right now.
Yeah, it's pretty good against those token decks, but it also has a lot of merit in this deck with Conch Calling on a. Well, you can play like a 2-mana or 0-mana 7 Conch Calling it like Sun Fury or something.
Nice.
So
yeah, Conch Calling is just an amazing card. It's so good.
Absolutely insane.
Carrying the class.
Yeah,
the fact that that card has Twin Spell just blows my mind.
I know. Like, yeah, I mean, almost all the viable Twin Spell spells are like verging being broken.
Yeah, Twin Spell is really good.
Yeah, it's crazy. Doomsayer, what do you think of that? Because I to answer your question, I've played definitely some Khadgar, a mage, and Doomsayer. While I was playing Shaman, I've been playing a bunch of different control class or control decks as well. Doomsayer is definitely an option I've been playing around with, and I've had mixed results. I think that it's just classic Doomsayer. If you get it off the mulligan, then it's super great, but it can be totally a dead card later on. But what do you think?
That was the last change I made to this list, sort of just because as a reaction to me playing more hunters on the ladder, mostly hunter. So it's just sort of a tech for that. But that's the nice thing about this list. You have so many spots that you can change out. Like basically you just need book Giant Conjure.
Yeah. I went down the giant route for sure, when I was still playing mage and trying stuff out, but then it kind of stopped there. That's a great thing about talking to you because you play this every single day you play mage every single day for hours, and you discover all the little nooks and crannies that come along with just playing mage, against every single matchup, where most people don't, right? Most people just get a general concept of it, some of the general big plays, and then that's where it ends. But but having you here is definitely great. So in terms of the other deck that you have here, which is more of like, I guess, a tempo deck. I remember seeing you play this on stream like, I don't know, a week ago or something like that. And I was like, oh my man, this is like super different, like crazy different.
This one's probably pretty new to most people, but I gave it to you because I feel like it has a lot of potential. I know my friend Frozen really likes the deck as well, and we're sort of trying to work on something here. But it looks really weird, but this Mana Cyclone is one of my favorite cards of the set and just in Mage in general. I know like some other pros feel the same, like Fino likes the deck too. It's a really good card, Mana Cyclone. So you kind of just stall until your late game stuff with this deck with spells, and then you do big Anton, Mount Cellar, and then curve into Power Creation. It's really nice. And then the Buffoon, MC Tech, Vex Crow, stuff like that's just sort of your mid game. But MC Tech's just kind of good in the meta right now. Buffoon's a nice one of in this deck, and Crow is weird, but I think it's good against Rogue. Just doing like Crow, Coin, 1-mana spell or 2-mana spells is pretty good. So.
Okay. Yeah, Mana Cyclone, by the way, is 2/2. It's a 2-mana 2/2. For each spell you've casted this turn, add a random mage spell to your hand, in case you guys didn't know what that was.
Yeah, and it's amazing synergy with Elemental Evocation, and same with Water Ellie. Water Ellie is really strong right now. Like, if you play turn 2 Water Ellie versus Rogue, you're in a pretty decent spot.
Oh man, turn 2 Water Ellie. That's amazing.
I mean, turn 1 if you want.
Yeah,
but...
turn 1, true. Wow, you got Exotic Mountain Seller in this. You know, like I was messing around with that card one day, and I was like, man, I wish I could get this card to work, because I just really like the mechanic of you get value every time you play a spell. You know, those type of cards.
Yeah.
And,
well,
yeah.
Mage got some really good spells. Well, I mean, cheap spells. Magic Trick and Ray of Frost are both pretty strong because there's so much value with cards like Antonidas and Mount Seller and Apprentice as tempo. So there's definitely something there with this kind of mage. If a rogue does happen, I can see maybe, if a nerf does happen, I can see something like this maybe getting better, a lot better. But it's also very challenging to play right now too, so kind of trying to figure the deck out more.
Yeah, I feel like when I do watch you play, like the big plays involve Apprentice and free spells, basically, right? Like a lot of cycling, or just a bunch of free spells in a row, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Power Creation, you know, I think there's been, I don't know, a faction that's like, oh yeah, Power Creation is like awesome, and you should definitely play it. And then there's a faction that's like, no, Power Creation is just like garbage. So what's the lowdown on that?
Well, it depends. I think most people are probably referring to Power Creation in the Conjurers list, the list on the left. And we started with Power Creation, but just sort of adds to spell inconsistency, and there's sort of just better cards I can run, like Astromancer, I think is better.
Okay.
But in a deck like the Tempo Mage, it's actually really good because you're sort of just clearing board early with your spells, and then you just can curve into Power Creation, sometimes even play it for cheaper with Apprentices, and the pressure is better in this deck, I find, with the Power Creation. So I think it's a good card.
All right, what is the best outcome of Power Creation?
Oh, easy. 5/12, 5/12.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, unless you need Reckless Rocketeer or something.
Right. That's true. Yeah, that was a simple one. There's actually not that many choices. I remember seeing the HCT replay diagram on that.
I'll get 5/12s like at least maybe once or twice a day, sometimes more.
Nice.
But sometimes, like, the worst case, you get 5/5s. There's never like only 3/3s or anything, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, worst case is 5/5s.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, looking at the rest of this deck, you know, I think you mentioned most of them. Stargazer Luna is obviously another one. It can work really great in terms of cycling.
Yeah.
You get on a run of cards. It's pretty awesome.
Another favorite.
Yeah, for sure. And then Anton. It's great to see Anton back, man. Antonitis, for those of you wondering what Anton is.
Warrior. Yeah. Like Anton, Apprentice, and then Twin Spell, Magic Trick, and all that stuff.
Yes.
Consistently 7 or 8 fireballs against Warrior. Problem is Warrior sometimes 7 or 8 fireballs. Sometimes they don't. It depends.
7 or 8 fireballs. Wow. Man.
Yeah, it's not that hard because you just save the 1-mana spells for Anton. I always mulligan against Warrior for Anton Apprentice cycle.
Yeah. You don't get much chip though from this deck, right? It's pretty much all at the end, huh?
Yeah, not much chip unless you do the early spell turns and discover or create good spells, but not a ton of chip.
That's cool. It's definitely a different type of pacing to it then. I mean, I don't think there's too many fast mage decks right now. Do you guys know of one? Like, Cora, do you know of a fast mage deck? Or have you seen one in the collegiate stuff?
Not really. This is the only one that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I was messing around with trying to Elemental Evocation out Azurite Elemental very quickly.
Yeah.
See if you can build up spell damage, but it's just too inconsistent.
Yeah, the spell damage.
Spell damage is sort of in a weird spot. I wish we got another like spell damage spell synergy, not just like unexpected results in Shooting Star, because those are okay. But I think if we had like one more, then it could maybe push spell damage to be good.
Yeah.
Because Cosmic Anomaly is a great card. It just doesn't have enough synergy right now, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay, and mind control tech again. Like, definitely the time for mind control tech right now. If you're playing a.
Yeah, it just seems so good with freeze. Like you freeze their board and then they just play stuff and you get a tech. So I
Yeah.
like it.
Good stuff. Yeah, definitely good stuff. Okay, well, yeah, play Mage, guys. Play. There's a lot of fun stuff to do with Mage, and you're looking for a deck. You can try either of these decks, or obviously go check out HCT Replay and try it out. Have you guys done the autocomplete stuff much? Like experimenting with that at all?
I've watched people do it,
Yeah,
but I haven't had a chance. No.
it's good though, right? Like, I mean, it's pretty much uses Blizzard's stats and gives you the best deck, right?
The autocomplete decks and the whizbang decks
Yeah.
for this expansion are actually really good.
Yeah.
Like a couple cards off at most from meta decks. Really impressive.
I mean, in theory, it should be the best, right? Like their stats are better than HS Replay stats. So I don't know, unless it's not as optimal for whatever reason. But cool. All right. Well, moving on. Before we do, I just want to give a shout out to some of our patrons that support the show. These are the folks that allow us to do the show each week. And, we want to show our appreciation, of course, and give a little shout out to some of them each week. So I want to give shout out to Raydan and Bryce L, Feldy Locks, Old Man Riv, Johnson C, Vince F, Alex F, Jeff B, Eric F, Chris K, Alex G, and Philo Virus. And if you guys think we're doing a good job, really enjoy the show, go to patreon.com/valuetown and throw us a pledge. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, so I think Apxvoid is going bathroom or break or something like that. But in the meantime, me and Cora will hang out here.
I'm an expert at filling time.
That's right. That's right. So, have you been watching? We were already talking about Game of Thrones, but I'm just like too obsessed with Game of Thrones right now to like not talk about it each day. But it's definitely been great there. But no, anyways, we're going to talk about the World Championships in just a second here. And I think looking through the decks, they announced the decks, or at least they released the decks, which is always interesting to be able to see what everybody's bringing and allow the players to really start practicing. I saw some really cool streams with Fino and I think it was Orange and some of the other guys, and they were basically playing through the matchups, like in the groups, and they were trying to figure out, I guess, based on their experience and playing each other and stuff like that, who would end up winning. They were, it was almost like a simulation, but they were playing the decks instead. So that was kind of interesting. They ended up with, I think they ended up with Roger winning the whole thing, which is pretty funny actually. But anyways, let me show you the decks. What's the best way to show this? Should we do it text-wise, or maybe we'll do it graphic-wise here. So let me bring it up. Okay, so all right, so we got so overall, actually maybe I'll bring up the text one just because it gives more of a general summary of what everybody brought and stuff like that in Hearthstone.
I think that one, it says there's 13 Bomb Warriors and 1 Control Warrior, but I think that's wrong.
That's not right.
Is there? Well, there's 13 overall, and then there's
12. That thing.
There's 12 and there's 1, so I don't know. It could be just classification.
Accurate though, but
yeah, it could be the classification of it is. I don't know. Whatever they're using for that. But yeah. So you can see the breakdown here. So everybody but Roger, Broad Tempo Rogue. Surprise, surprise. And then of course Warrior is kind of the anti-rogue in this whole dynamic. And then Zulog's kind of interesting here. Zulog is a counter to. What is Zulog a counter to? Token Druid, I think. But I don't think anybody brought Druid. There's like only 2 Druids, right? So this is an interesting bring. I thought that was...
The Hearthbone classifications are incorrect.
Are they? Oh.
It says he's got Bomb, he's got Control. Hunter Ace, it says he's got Bomb, but he's got Control.
Oh, okay.
Ike has Control as well. Yeah.
I mean, the Control is definitely the more popular one, so I would just kind of assume these are pretty... they might have been switched, actually, to be honest.
No, because I know that basically the Western players brought Control mostly, except for Killing All Day, and the Eastern players brought Bomb.
Okay.
So there are quite a few Bomb Warriors. I think it's just more so an even split.
Is Bomb Warrior better? Like I don't see it being better. Like what matchups would it actually be better in?
think people want to ban. Some people want to ban warrior, and then they like it versus rogue, maybe. But like, is it better versus rogue? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, control warrior is better than bomb warrior against rogue. So it's it's surprising. Yeah.
Warrior, but I think control is better. But
if they had a hard read on Nomi Priest, Bomb Warrior is the best deck in the game.
That's true.
true.
That's true. That's definitely true. Nomi Priest. I mean, there is one combo priest. Is that actually a Nomi Priest, or is that actually just
Killing all day?
Oh,
as
he brought
Nomi
the,
Priest.
Oh yeah, he brought the Nomi Priest. Nice.
He did.
Okay. That.
I wonder if
Then
they
he's
would
got
have
the
seen
Bomb Warrior.
more Nomi Priest if deck submission was later, because deck submission was like over like a week ago.
Yeah.
That's
People didn't actually start looking at the priest seriously until they saw Kill and Bring It.
Okay, so what is the good matchup with? I mean, what is this meant to kill? Like in this lineup, you think?
It can kill Control Warrior. It can kill Rogue. It destroys Token Druid. It can beat Mage. It can beat absolutely everything.
Yeah. So
and it's pretty good against aggro.
So not terrible matchups anywhere. It's just like generally got a chance at least.
Yeah, except for Bomb Warrior, which it pretty much can't win against.
Okay, so most likely he's gonna be banning. Oh man, it's hit or miss, right? Control Warrior is great, so it's
With Zulak and Tempo Rogue, he's got a ban Warrior lineup for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man. Killen's got an interesting lineup there. So yeah, I mean, if you look at the rest of the class breakdown, got some hunters. Pretty interesting, definitely. I think this works well against warrior as well, right? Hunter, the mage too. The mage is actually the mage is what the category mage is going to be meant to kill. Is it warrior? It is warrior, right? Yeah.
It's pretty all around. Like it's not as bad against decks like. Well, most people are banning rogue, but it can still beat rogue. It can beat well, not many druids. It's okay against Beast Hunter, actually. They all brought Beast, though, right? Not Mech. It's kind of bad against Mech.
Roger's got Mech.
Yeah, he's got Mech Hunter. Yeah.
Oh, Roger does. Oh,
but the rest have Beast.
Okay. Weird list.
Yeah.
But it's sort of all around, I find, the Conj Mage. Just draw a book on 2, and I think you're favored versus, like, pretty much everything. But
yeah. It's that swing deck that's going to win a championship. It's going to be interesting to see. Could be a nuance, now, with the warrior bomb or control, but I feel like, it's just this third deck that's going to make or break people, whether they brought 2 super control decks and warrior and shaman are playing that, or if it's going to be more of these, warrior hunters with hunter and mage here. So, yeah, which do you think? So I guess we can probably just jump into predictions. Like, which lineup do you think is the one that's going to prevail here? I think Saiyan and Muzzy brought the exact same lineup. I think that's what Saiyan said.
There's a couple double lineups. I think Language Hacker. Not the same, I think.
Oh, these two. Oh, yeah, Language Hacker. Oh, yeah, these two. No, they're different. Shudder. They just got Shudder in there.
Yeah, they don't have the same 120. I think just Saiyan and Muzzy have the exact same cards.
Yeah.
Honestly, as much as I don't want to say it, I think Roger's lineup is really cool.
Well, that's the simulation.
I think he gamed them, and he brought the only if you can target warrior lineup. This is probably the way you're going to do it.
Will this always be warrior though? Like
these top 3 beat them, right? Like
because there's bomb warriors too, and maybe those have more game versus some of these like paladin.
Just take a look at his mage deck. Like,
let me see this.
It's got the barista.
He's got Barista Lynchen, he's got Hexlord Malacraft.
Oh yeah, he's got Barista.
Has 2 Messenger Ravens.
Oh crap, that's like
Unseen Saboteurs. It's nuts.
Holy
this is definitely too much. Like, there's no way you need
greedy
this
as hell, man.
Warrior isn't bad to begin with, but I'm curious to see how it does.
Yeah, is this going to do well against warrior?
I mean, you're gonna have like too much stuff in this deck against warrior. Like, you don't need Malacross, but this shouldn't ever lose to control warrior though. So
yeah, this should definitely kill kill Control Warrior
Actually,
easy. There's just too much.
they-
There's still all those crazy like summon bursts.
Oh,
So,
actually, the weakness though is, does his warrior beat other warrior though? Like,
yeah, that's what I would worry about. Is like he's gonna lose the Control Warrior
such
if,
a weird, like what? This warrior list is so weird. It's bombs, but with the
Baleful, Elysiana.
it's like green skin is in there. It's
Mage.
double
green skin. Oh, yeah, why
Like,
is
I think
green skin in
If
there?
Roger's lineup fails, it's because this warrior deck, or maybe the pally just doesn't.
Oh, green
work.
skin's for another bomb, right? Okay.
It's got 2 Sephorium bombers in the deck too. I mean, it's
Oh, this
maybe.
Is, this is balls out bomb.
Like,
if you hold your bombs until they drop the first Elysiana,
Yeah.
assuming that they're playing Elysiana Baleful instead of
Yeah.
Elysiana.
That's a really good point, Cora, and that's something that I think people probably won't understand is that, you know, Lysiana like negates all the bombs in your deck, right? Because it just replaces your deck with all these 10 new cards. So there is strategy with having to hold your cards as long as you can possibly hold them.
But like assuming that most people are playing Baleful Banker instead of Youthful
Yeah.
Brewmaster,
Right.
you just hold all your bombs until they deck out and have to play Elysiana, and then you go like Augmented Alec, double Clockwork Goblin, swing with your Wrench Caliber. There's 6 bombs in 1 turn.
Right, and that's why I think that the Bomb Warrior is inferior. Is just because of that reason. Like you're negating like 50% of the value, probably at the very least, or 33% to 50% probably at the very least, even at this crazy high level. So, you know, taking that away from, you know, one of the main values of the deck is pretty brutal, you know, at this level. So yeah, this could be his Achilles heel is the warrior, because they're gonna let that warrior go. There's for sure, right? Like it's clear what he's doing. So yeah, that's a real. It's like definitely the most different lineup out of everybody. So kind of cool to see. I ended up picking Hunter Age, but I picked Hunter Age like when I picked the champion like on the first day. I ended up picking him, but not for reasons of his decks. It was just more like Hunter Age I think generally does better in early meta, you know, like of an expansion too. So I was thinking he was gonna do something different, but yeah, I think he's got a pretty similar lineup to some other folks too. So we'll see. Yeah. So who's y'all's picks? So you picked Roger, Cora, APX.
Whoa!
You didn't. Oh, you like his lineup. You like.
I think Roger lineup is
Sorry,
great.
he like his lineup.
I personally picked Killen.
Okay, you picked Killen. I mean, for your champion, you picked Killen.
Oh, well.
Oh no.
Let's not talk about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm picking Killen now.
Okay.
Let's just say mistakes were made.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Well, mistakes were made on my part for sure.
Not talk about it.
I made a mistake picking my champion. Yeah. APX, how about you?
I think my pick, just based on, well, mostly lineups and I guess player skill, is probably, I think Bloody Face just has a solid lineup. I think this Hunter is actually pretty good in the field, and I think his lists are just solid lists. Good Control Warrior, I think. Good Rogue, decent Mage.
Yeah.
It's a pretty safe lineup in this field. I just don't know how decks like Shaman are going to do, and I mean, Roger's lineup, I'm still not sure about that. But yeah, I think if I had to pick one, it'd be Bloody Face. And then actually, yeah, Language Hacker's lineup's a little bit different. He has Shaman instead of Hunter, or instead of Warrior, actually.
His Rogue's a little bit interesting too.
Yeah, I'm looking at
like.
Oh, right, yeah, he is the Scheme Rogue.
Yeah, questing.
Shaman feels weak. Shaman feels like it has too many weaknesses. Like it loses to too many of the big decks, I think, because it loses to Warrior, right? And then it has a tough time against Rogue. Like it has to be teched to beat Rogue to be able to actually do okay against it. And
doesn't
I don't
really beat Mage either.
No, it struggles.
It runs out of stuff in my experience, and it's looking at Justine and Muzzy's build. They don't play Manatide Totem or Spirit of the Frog. Yeah, and in my experience, you just run out of stuff.
Well, and you can just like be needing to draw, like you said. Like they're when I've played it, I've actually had to have acolytes in them just to at least get some consistency to the draw. But yeah, this is there's just not enough removal. You know, like the schemes you can only do it twice, and against Mage 2 times is not enough. And
like you need them early as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just. You know, again, just lacking. That's the problem with Shaman right now. It's like I feel like a lot of their cards are not like they're not dual purposed. You know, a lot of them are singular purposed, and you know, a lot of things required to beat the top decks require you to do two things, you know, heal and, you know, block or remove and, you know, tempo or something like that. Okay, so you took Bloody Face. Who do I pick? I mean, I think Bloody Face that's a pretty strong pick. Definitely nothing with a shaman in it. Like, let me think. Let me see if I can pick one. Man, yeah, I think that. Yeah, the Bloody Face one is pretty good. This one's pretty good too. I think Yu Ying's is bad. I have no idea how he is as a player though. Just looking at lineups, so yeah.
Yu Ying and Jing are actually very good, and Zhao Ti. China ended up with some pretty solid representatives.
China's definitely improved, I think, over the last little while in competitive HS.
Big time.
Yu Ying's good. I actually chose Yu Ying as my champion. SM Jing's good.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pick Yu Ying then. I think his lineup is pretty solid too. It's along the lines of like Bloody Face being solid. So
it's very similar to Bloody Face.
It's very similar. Yeah, but just so I don't pick the same thing as you do. No. It should be crazy competitive. You want to look at the groups? Let me bring up the groups. It's going to be starts tonight. So be sure to stay up tonight and catch it because I think the group stage is going to be it's going to be awesome. It's going to be the most fun to watch. When everybody's still in it, you know, it's like it's definitely you feel that urgency, which is really, really awesome. So I think everybody's generally as a group C is the group of death, but I think group B is actually potentially stronger. Yeah. The people, you know, I think there's more people in Group C that folks are more interested about, but I think the decks themselves are probably going to be pretty crazy for that one. Group A is pretty crazy too.
I mean, honestly, just the fact that Hunter Ace and Saiyan ended up in the same group after their big rivalry this past year, it's like, okay, somebody planned that.
I mean, is this random? I mean, shouldn't there be like seedings involved or something? Like,
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know how they seed this though.
It doesn't look like it was seeded. It looks like it was pretty randomized.
I mean, it seems like they tried to spread out the region.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be smart. That would be smart. Yeah.
There's Europe in A, Europe in C, Europe in D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spread it apart, and then there's just more NA than there are anything else.
Yeah, that would make sense for sure.
Although Hunter Ace and A8 are in C, and B doesn't have anybody from Europe. So that's a little strange.
Yeah, 3 NA. Maybe it was just completely random.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, it's still going to be crazy competitive. And I mean, I think the fan favorites are, you know, Ike is definitely a fan favorite here. And man, he's got a tough road getting through that one. But
is the field bad for his decks?
What'd you say?
Is his decks like bad or something?
No, I mean his decks. He's got token. He's like one of the few people that have token druid.
Oh, you just mean his group is really hard.
Yeah,
it's not really token druid though. It's like
G-Lock too. Yeah.
It's like token druid with heal elements. It's very strange.
Oh, is it? Let me see this. Okay. Token druid with heal elements. Really? Oh. Oh, he's got stag in this. Oh wow. And he's got ordinary tortoise. What?
Definitely an interesting deck.
Okay, so I mean, obviously those are to stick, right? Like those health totals are definitely bigger. Okay, all right, it's interesting. No, maybe he's onto something. I mean, obviously he's been practicing with his group guys, so yeah, that'd be cool to see too. But yeah, in terms of the groups, man. What do you think? Which do you think will be the group of death out of these? Like the ones that, at least the ones that's most interesting to watch.
Well, Group C has more HCT points than like probably 2 of the other groups combined, just with Saiyan. So that one's always interesting.
Yeah, the two masters. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, well, I don't know which one they start with tonight. Yeah. We'll have to see with this.
There's so many good players though that I think all the groups look pretty strong to me.
I think they'll probably go in order, I would think.
Yeah, I wonder if they're, in terms of like the broadcast itself, have you heard, is there any like festivity? Like, is there anything else that's going to be going on except for just the normal tournament? Like last year they seemed to bring a lot of people out there, and they had Falcone working the separate stage, right? And there was always interviews with influencers and things like that. But yeah, I haven't heard it much this year. But
they're bringing out the grandmasters, so maybe they'll have them do stuff on site.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that's cool. That should be a lot of fun.
If you do notice, they've got the regional points leaders, one in each group. So in A, you've got Zhao, B, you've got Muzzy, C is Hunter Ace, and D is what, Tyler?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Just the last chance people, highest points earners.
Yeah.
They spread them up at least, so I guess it's probably not random then.
Okay. Oh, Roger, man, I am so intrigued to see how Roger does, because he's a fan favorite, so the entire crowd is going to be rooting for him, and everybody else is going to be. I'm kind of interested to see how Just Saying gets received there too.
Oh yeah, you think?
Yeah. I kind of want to see how if that there is actually anything to them, the whole Taiwan community not appreciating Just Saying speaking out against Roger or whatever. So
I mean, I think Roger's lineup is very good.
Yeah, I think so too.
He got here where it is what it is at this point. His lineup's good.
Yeah. If he wins, there'll be just a lot more for us to talk about next week, I guess.
Podcasts are gonna have a
Yeah. But he wins the World Championships. It's like, deserved to be there. Clear. I mean, should he have been there? You can question that. Deserved to be there, but because of his gameplay, obviously. I mean, if you win a World Championship, it kind of speaks for itself. So. Okay, well, again, just watch them play Hearthstone tonight, and we'll see who ends up winning. So let's do some quick Q&A before we take off here, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and type those in Twitch chat, and we've got some time, so we'll probably read out as many as we can. Actually, Shady in chat actually asked Cora, has there ever been a cheating scandal in the college Hearthstone circuit?
Not that I know of.
Disqualification? No? Good.
No, I don't think so. We run a 15-minute delay on every broadcast, and also college students, if they were gonna cheat, probably wouldn't get caught. So none that I know of. It doesn't mean it's never happened, but we make it very difficult for them to do it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't actually know, but I'm gonna say no.
Okay, yeah, let's just say no. And let's just be wholesome about it, guys. And cheating does not happen in
college students
guys.
Would
it
never
happens, Ignore real sports, just
Nah, generally they're very just good groups of people.
Yeah.
We don't have any problems with them.
Cool. All right, so Slim Jim 91 has the meta is slowly stabilizing, and it looks like a lot of aggro tempo decks are dominant except Warrior. Do you like the aggro meta? Is it aggro? I guess you call it. I mean,
pretty aggro.
Yeah, I guess you call it aggro.
They're not my favorite aggro decks of all time. I think like Token Druid is fine. Zoo is okay. I actually really like Zoo right now. It's a lot of fun to play.
I haven't played it at all. Is there anything special, like particularly?
Magic Carpet's just really good.
Oh yeah, Magic Carpet. Yeah.
Even got Zoo Mage going. It's so fun, Carpet.
Yeah.
Did they really? That sounds cool.
No, I saw him playing Magic Carpet one night. Yeah.
I was running pretty well with Zoo Mage.
Yeah.
Top 100. It runs 4 giants. It's super crazy, but it's so much fun.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't mind aggro meta. I just think the problem is, well, it's not much of a problem, I guess, but there's not really good defensive neutrals right now. I don't think, other than Ziliax. Like we don't have that Sludge Belcher, Tar Creeper, Heal Bot card, and feel a bit weak when I'm trying to build some classes to beat those decks with neutrals. I mean.
Yeah, Proud Defender just doesn't quite cut it.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't cut it. And then Safeguard Apple Bomb are just a bit too expensive, I find, to be good aggro counters.
I mean, the Rabble Bouncer, I mean, that's neutral, right?
Yeah, Rabble's solid. It's
Yeah.
not great versus Rogue, so I find like
Mm-hmm.
only really Mage can kind of make that work with the conch calling synergy and the stall. But it's okay. It's really good versus token decks.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that aggro, I think aggro is fine as long as that every other, like the other archetypes are represented
Yeah.
well too. And like we've got control, there's no question. But is there really any mid range right now? I mean, it's kind of, is mage considered? I don't know what mage is considered with the crazy
It's
bursts. Like,
kind of mid-rangey.
yeah. Okay.
Sort of like unlock a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Another question: would you all have preferred the championship be Year of Raven cards? No.
No.
I actually really like that they made the champion not like just a week or two after the Rise of Shadows came out. I think that just encourages the most skill and creativity because the meta is just less refined.
Mm-hmm.
I think also strategic from a marketing standpoint, it's just much better for viewership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
Too.
that's very, very true. Yeah, so would it have been most fair? It probably would have been the most representative of it, but we've seen the same thing for a year. Like that we don't need that for sure.
Seen enough
Yeah.
Raven decks.
Oh, Edelweiss. She's in the. So she, let's see, asks, what cards would you most like to see nerfed for Rogue? Oh yeah, we kind of talked. We didn't actually talk specifically about which particular card, but if you were to pick one card, I would say, for me, probably Myra's for me, or the pick, one or the other.
One card to nerf in
Yeah.
Rogue.
Yeah.
I'd say prep. I think it's the strongest card, and it would hurt the deck the most. But
yeah, that makes
it'd
sense.
be the hardest to nerf, I think, or one of the hardest cards to nerf.
I don't know that you could nerf prep. I think you could maybe nerf raiding party.
Yeah, raiding party can be
okay.
4 mana, or maybe draw one pirate, one weapon, or something. But I think Miscreant's good, but it doesn't need a nerf. Pick is super good. Well, raiding party makes it really good.
Yeah.
How would we do Myra's? Just make it more expensive.
Yeah, I think make it more expensive. I mean, especially with prep in play, it's crazy cheap at this, like, whenever you end up playing it. But raiding party, I think, is probably a good. Like, it seems to be a very, like there are different elements, right, to make decks powerful, and obviously drawing and just having card power is a huge part of it. And Rogue has always struggled with that, right? I mean, they try to make up with it with cards that draw random, like your opponent's class cards, but Sprint's always been pretty expensive, and so I think that having raiding party draw these cards that are powerful, like specifically, is extremely too good right now. Fixes your curve, right? Like you were saying, like raiding party into the pick is just ridiculous, and that's exactly what it's for.
Yeah, and sometimes you prep it and there's 0 tempo loss.
Yeah. How would you nerf prep is what Jubb said. I mean, do you just Hall of Fame? I think you have to Hall of Fame prep. Like, I don't think you can.
Much. Yeah.
I mean, what else can you do?
Expel costs 2 less, but like that would be the only possible nerf. I feel like
it's like innervate, basically.
Then it's like, yeah. Well, I guess
I'll just turn it into the coin.
I turn it into the coin, exactly.
Just make it a coin.
Counterfeit coin.
Exactly.
It's the platinum coin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, they're disappointed that they didn't Hall of Fame prep. Yeah, I think that's going to be the next one that gets Hall of Fame, because prep, I don't know. Prep doesn't seem like an identity card for me. Like, it
kind of does to me. I mean, Miracle's been such a strong deck forever, but I was surprised that Cleef didn't get Hall of Famed. I feel like that should have been Hall of Famed either this one or last one. I just think it's way too swingy. Like, we saw it in Worlds a lot, and it won Tom games because he got like a really strong turn 2 Cleef or something with like coin innervate swashbuckler, I remember. And it's just a bit too game deciding sometimes, especially on the coin. which is just stupid when you lose because coin flip.
It is a coin flip, but at the same time, it's. I mean, yeah. See, that type of thing. As much as I wouldn't mind actually Edwin getting Hall of Famed either. I do like the fact that you can make that conscious decision, you know, of going all in at that point. You know, it's early, right? So, you know, you go all in, and especially if like your opponent has silence or something, and you just choose to do it because you know it gives you the best chance, and you've like got too many spells in your hand. I don't know. I like having that path of play.
I think Cleef used to be pretty fair, but now it's not all in anymore. Now when you prep raiding party Cleef, you're ahead in value and ahead in tempo, and that doesn't happen super often, but it's still just such a strong play. And like now lackeys kind of make Cleef a bit better, and Shadow Step fits well in the list, so Cleef just feels very strong.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, that's it's definitely much stronger than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of another thing. Like prep used to be necessary as a combo activator, but now we have lackeys. You can have 0 mana Vendetta. It's just not as necessary now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember when you had to make a big cleave, you'd have to like prep a Vis face, and then there's like some risk in making the big cleave because you lose so much value. But yeah, now the deck just has a ton of value, and also cards like Myra.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you would run out of cards, right? That was the big deal. But now you can just redraw 10 cards, basically, which is nuts. All right, let's see. Any other questions? People. Yeah. Any last questions? Try to get them in. If not, then let's see. Oh, I guess you answered this. The tournament so soon, expansions make it better for players and viewers. Yeah, for sure. No question. It'll be much more interesting for folks now. Okay, so if Rogue and Warrior... Okay, here's maybe the last question. Liam Mega asked, if Rogue and Warrior were to get nerfs, who's the next strongest class?
Not biased at all, but I'm going to say Mage.
Yeah, it's up there.
I'm actually kind of scared that Mage... Well, Conch Calling gets nerfed if the other two classes hit a nerf as well, but I'm not so sure about that yet.
I mean, how does Mage do against Token Druid? It's a bad matchup, right?
No, I destroy them. If you run Rabble Bouncer, double tech, just like Sun Fury on big guys, talked about it a bit earlier. I just think it's pretty.
Right.
I think obviously if Warrior is gone, Shaman gets a lot better.
Yeah.
Haggith is still very strong.
Actually, Hunter definitely will be strong, I think, if other stuff sees nerfs.
Yeah. I think Priest isn't bad either. Honestly, other than Rogue and Warrior being standouts, the rest of the classes right now are all on pretty similar footing.
I agree. The meta's, I think, really close to being...
Actually, it's just Rogue. If you really think about it, right?
Yeah,
like
it is for me just Rogue.
Yeah, it's like, just Rogue. Because people are playing a lot of Warrior because of Rogue. That's it.
Yeah, so a lot of people are avoiding Warrior, though, because they actually just don't want to play the mirrors, and they don't want any chance of playing a mirror, I know.
Yeah. I get it. It's 45 minutes of your life for 1 star that you can lose in 10 minutes.
Good feeling. Or
oh my god.
tie, which is even worse.
Just get rid of that card. Get rid of Lysiana, nerf Rogue. We got beautiful Hearthstone. Yeah, that's all we got to do. Which one?
Nerf Boom a bit too, and then
Nerf Boom. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's.
There are just a couple of balance changes they could make that would affect things very drastically right now.
Yeah, and they've shown that they're willing to do balance changes at any time. So I'm expecting one. Yeah, I'm expecting one. Right, at least 6 weeks after the expansion. I would think that they would do one. So
a couple weeks after Worlds, maybe. Hopefully.
Do we have a start date for GM yet?
I think there was. I think there is a schedule, like the what is it, the 8 weeks or whatever it is. I think that I forget when it starts though, but
and maybe before that we'll see one. I don't know.
Yeah. That would be cool, but you keep moving it. You know what I mean? Like do something. If you do something, at least we'll start, seeing some people trying stuff, even if it, it doesn't end up working out for them. But at least we'll see people, potentially trying to, come up with some awesome new, concept or whatever for Specialist. But if we keep it the same, then it's just going to remain the same at this point. It's getting settled. It's getting pretty You know, like outside of you doing stuff with Mage and, you know, just the specialists actually, you know, really diving in each of the classes, it feels like it's settling pretty hard right now. All right, guys. Well, why don't we wrap up? Great show, guys. I think we covered quite a bit, and you know, definitely can't wait to see who ends up. We're gonna have, you know, we're gonna crown a new world championship by the time we talk again, you know, next show. So pretty exciting time. Yeah. I wonder what their trophy looks like. Have they shown the trophy at all?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
They showed the crane machines that they have for a bunch of different Hearthstone product.
What?
Which I'm incredibly jealous about. You didn't see those?
No.
Yeah,
what is
HS
this?
Esports tweeted some images from the event, and they have like a bunch of, I guess, like just very popular Asian like crane games.
Crane games. What were crane games?
Like a crane machine, you know, like
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean like those, like the little, yeah, okay, I gotcha.
yeah, like you win prizes through a crane.
Yeah.
Actually,
It looks really sweet.
they do have a picture of the trophy. It looks
they
like
do.
the last one, I think. It's on the same tweet as the crane thing.
Oh, is
Here,
it?
I'll link it in chat.
Okay, cool.
Swirly thing. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. People are saying crane.
There you go.
Crane.
They've got cookies. Oh, looks like it's gonna be a good event.
Cookies. Oh, nice.
Wait. Those look more like waffles.
What?
It's like a pancake.
Link it in Discord. I think
Wait,
the Twitch chat filter thing just got you.
Did it really?
Yeah, I just see
Purses.
asterisks. I just see asterisks.
There you go.
There. Okay, cool. Let me see this. Oh yeah, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's the same trophy.
God.
It's a good trophy though. I mean,
It's cool looking for sure. Oh yeah, look at these cookies. Oh wow, they're like whatchamacallit, macaroons.
looks like it's gonna be a cool event.
Yeah. Oh, this is nice. Oh, if somebody wants to know how you pronounce your last name, it's Georgiou, right?
Georgiou.
Yep, Georgiou.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
Yep.
It's kind of almost like how it looks. So.
Yeah. It's Georgiou, but Georgiou is the American pronunciation.
All right. Well, why don't we wrap up, guys? Got any shout outs you want to do, Cora, before we take off here?
Shout out to my boy Killing All Day at World Championships.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just everybody who's going to be playing this weekend. I know for a lot of these guys, this is the biggest tournament of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it is mostly overnight, I'm going to try to watch as much as I can, and hopefully it's going to be some good Hearthstone.
Yeah. If not, the VODs are always there. You know, like you can always watch the VODs before the next match anyways. So, yeah, I think I'm going to end up having to watch half of it on VODs and half of it live. That's probably what's going to happen for me. But cool. Apxvoid, you want to do some shout-outs?
Not really. I guess shout out to you for having me on the show.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, and I guess just good luck to the World's players, particularly the ones that brought Mage. But
yeah. Next year. Well, actually, no. How's this work? GM, there's relegations after season 2, right? So that's your time to shine, right? Replace one of these fools. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and yeah, thanks to the two of you guys for doing the show with me as well. You can find the show if you missed any of it on youtube.com/ChanmanV, as well as all the audio channels like iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud.com/ChanmanV, and Google Play. But that's going to be it, guys, for Value Town this week. So for Cora, Apxvoid, and myself, ChanmanV, we'll see you next week.
bye.
Bye.